Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with the Y, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. So today we're going to be going over a couple of stretches for your hips and your back, an area where so many of us tend to accumulate a lot of stress and tension. And the back especially is an area that when we are not using the rest of our muscle groups efficiently, it's usually one that picks up the slack. So in this way, these areas can start to get really tense and tight, and it can affect our mood, right? It can affect what we feel equipped to participate in on the weekends or on our downtime. And it can affect just so much of how we feel. So releasing some of that stress and that tension can really lift not only our physical self, but also our mental and emotional state of being. So all you're going to need today is a mat to lie down on, or a soft surface, and a TheraBand. So if you don't have a TheraBand, which looks like this, you can easily just use a pair of yoga pants, an extra pair of yoga pants, or something that's a little stretchy. And now it really does not matter so much, as long as you have a nice long TheraBand, what color it is, because you'll be able to adjust the tension and the resistance with your hands so that it can work for you on however you're feeling on any given day you're doing this exercise. So go ahead and lie down here. I'm gonna set our camera up, and let's set the TheraBand aside for the moment, but have it handy. And so laying down on your mat, let's just start by stretching out that left foot, reaching through the heel here. And now the right leg is gonna come in as you're able to reach towards your torso here. And so as you reach through the heel, letting that thigh come in towards you, almost like your pelvis is getting a stretch in these opposite directions here. And so then let's switch sides, this time straightening out that right leg, reaching through the heel as the left leg comes in towards you. Now you may notice that you have a different sort of range of motion through each side, and that's normal. The sides of the body are never going to be exactly the same, and so we just treat them as unique experiences, letting it be what it is. Let's now stretch that left leg back out, right leg coming in, and this time we're going to allow that knee to reach for the opposite shoulder. So getting a little stretch down that side, outside of the leg and into the glute. And so holding here for a breath. If you feel able, you can pick up that side of the pelvis for just a little bit of a spine twist here. Holding here for a breath, and I want you to see if you can bring that breath into the back of your body. So breathing into your low back, bringing that back around, and then we'll slowly stretch that leg out, reaching through the heel. We're going to take the left leg in, knee reaching for the opposite shoulder here. Once again, seeing if you feel able to pick up that left side of the pelvis for that little extra spine twist here. It's gonna just deepen that stretch and allow your breath to come in and fill that low back. And then letting that leg go. So let's bring both legs bent about sit bone distance apart here. We're going to take a little pelvic curl just to feel into the amount of articulation we have in our low back. And so what that means, a pelvic curl, is that if you imagine that you've got back pants pockets on your leggings, you've got the bottom of your back pants pocket and you have the top of your back pants pocket. So as you're just resting normally on your pelvis, you probably find that you're resting most of your weight along the middle of that back pants pocket. So taking a pelvic curl, you're curling, you're tilting that pelvis so that the majority of that weight is now on the top of the back pants pocket, and that it feels like that tailbone is kind of scooping up. And then setting yourself back down so you're resting on the middle, and then taking a pelvic extension, which is now placing the majority of that weight on the bottom of the back pants pocket. Tailbone is just ever so slightly imprinting into the mat. And so we're gonna roll it just back and forth like a little massage for your low back. Keeping those leg bones nice and weighted in the hip sockets. So almost like the motion of your pelvic curl with your leg bones heavy is giving yourself that feeling of a little massage. And so we'll take it back and forth here a couple times, taking your time, allowing your breath to fill the length of your torso, as if it's creating space in your hip bones and sit bones. And then we're gonna take that TheraBand. So I'll scoot up just a little bit so you can better see here. You're gonna keep one leg bent, and we're gonna wrap the TheraBand around our right leg to start, right along the arch of the foot, so it's well supported. And now the straps are gonna be in your arms, but I want you to find the resistance that works for you. So we don't wanna have it too tight, or we're gonna create tension in our upper body to help support this movement. So find that resistance where you feel supported, yet you're not creating additional tension in your shoulders and neck here. And so bringing that leg up to the degree that you're able, and first allowing that leg bone just to sink really heavy into the back of the hip socket, just like it's sort of sitting in a little nest that is that socket. And so from here, we're just gonna gently point and flex the foot. As you do, allowing that leg bone to feel like it's gently sinking into that little nest of the hip socket. Let's take one more here. And now we're gonna gently just float that leg out to the side, towards the outside of our body here. And I want you to just feel that sink even more of the leg into the hip socket. And now I want you to carry that feeling of weightedness back to center. So an extra sensation of heaviness back to center, and now across the body, nice and gently. You may not be able to go very far because this is a pretty intense stretch. You're reaching through the heel. You have a gentle flex of the foot here. And as you take it across the body, feeling that leg bone just sit back into that hip socket here. And we're gonna hold this for 3 deep breaths. And then nice and heavy, we're gonna take that leg back to center. We're gonna take it back outside here. Find even more weightedness of the leg into the hip socket. Bring that extra weight back to center here. And carry that extra weight over, back across the body. Find that feeling of sinking back, leg into the back of the hip socket here. And hold and breathe. 3 deep breaths here. Gentle flex of the foot, reaching through that heel. Only taking that leg as far over as you can keep that feeling of being nice and deeply seated in the back of the hip socket. Back to center. We're gonna take this one more time. So finding that leg just gently outside the body here. Finding even more sink, and then carrying that sink back to center and then across the body. Gentle flex of the foot. And breathe. Back to center, and then you can let that leg rest. Let's bring it back to a bent position to join the other leg, and just feeling into the difference. feeling into the difference of the sides of the pelvis, of the hips there. And let's take that pelvic curl again. Maybe noticing what it feels like from side to side. And so then we'll take the same thing to the other side to complete this stretch here. TheraBand goes across the arch of the foot. Again, finding that resistance in the bands that allows you to feel supported without creating additional tension in the upper body. And let's start by just letting that leg bone sink into the back of the hip socket, gently pointing and flexing that foot. As you do, just finding even more sink. One more here. And then we'll gently take this leg out to the side, allowing the leg bone just to sink deeper into the hip socket. And we're going to carry that heaviness back to center. Foot is slightly flexed. And then we'll carry that leg across the body. Feeling that leg bone sinking back into the back of the hip socket here, holding and breathing for 3 deep breaths. Leg back to center. Once again, we're going to take that leg out to the side. Find even more weightedness. Gentle flex of the foot, taking that back to center, and again, over across the body. Only as far as you can keep that weighted feeling. Holding and breathing. And now keeping both sides of that pelvis nice and heavy. So especially on the side of that leg that we're stretching, important to keep that space almost like it's rooted into the mat. So let's once again take that leg back to center and out, finding even more sink before then carrying that extra weightedness back to center and across the body. Holding again for those 3 deep breaths. And then gently bringing that leg back to center, releasing it from the strap. You can set that TheraBand aside once again. Let's bring both feet back to the mat here, and we'll take that pelvic curl again. And so gently feeling into how that feels for you. And so then the last thing that we're going to do here, you're going to go ahead and come all the way up. And so I'm going to bring over a little box. And what you can do is just find perhaps a chair, or you can easily do this against a wall. But let's turn that camera to see. You're going to stand facing the box or the wall, feet parallel, hip distance apart, and you're going to hinge at the hips. So starting to take that bottom back behind you, bending the knees here, and hands are going to come to the box. So flat back here, bottom keeps coming out, gently bending the knees. And so from here, you're going to gently just dig one heel into the floor as the other leg has a little bend in the knee. And then you're going to switch. So digging the opposite heel into the ground, perhaps straightening it a little bit as the opposite leg bends. And so we're doing a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. And just alternating side by side, but really important to keep that feeling of sitting back into your sit bones as you do, keeping that flat back. Couple more times to each side here. And then keeping that bend in the knee as you unhinge from the hips, standing up nice and tall. So take a couple steps around, see how it feels to walk around with your hips, with your back, having this little stretch. I hope you found this supportive, and I'll see you back here next time on the Wise YouTube channel. Take care.